The fitness tracker sat on the nightstand, glowing in the pre-dawn gray. Tom McKenzie squinted at the screen, his reading glasses still in the bathroom. 2 hours of activity, 2:17 to 4:23 in the morning. He picked it up, turned it over in his weathered hands. Linda's side of the bed was already empty, sheets cool to the touch. The furnace kicked on, rattling through the old farmhouse. Outside, frost covered the January fields like a burial shroud. Tom walked to the kitchen, started the coffee. His joints moved slow these days. 68 years of diesel mechanic work had a way of settling into your bones. Through the window, he watched for Linda's car in the driveway. Nothing. The coffee pot gurgled. He checked the tracker history. Same pattern for weeks. Midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. He hadn't heard a single door open. Footsteps on the front porch. The door swung wide. Linda stood there in gym clothes, face flushed, phone gripped on tight in her hand. "What are you doing up so early?" Her voice had an edge he didn't recognize. Tom held up the tracker. "I was about to ask you the same thing." Linda set her keys on the counter, pulled the elastic from her ponytail. Her hair fell across her shoulders, still damp. "Ask me what?" "The workouts." 2 hours at 2 a.m. She crossed to the coffee pot, poured herself a cup like they were discussing the weather. "Night workouts help my insomnia. Doctor suggested it last month." Tom watched her add cream, 2 sugars. "Same routine for 6 years of marriage." "I didn't hear you leave." "You sleep like the dead anyway." She said it gentle, almost motherly. "No point waking you up." The phrase sat in his chest like a stone. Sleep like the dead. He thought about the bedroom door, how it creaked on the hinges, how he usually woke when she got up for the bathroom. "Where do you go?" "CrossFit gym." "It's 24 hours. Linda touched his shoulder, a gesture he'd seen 100 times, concern masking something else. "Tom, I know this is unusual, but it's helping. I feel stronger." God, he wanted to believe her. God, he wanted to. The alternative, that thing neither of them were saying, sat between them like smoke. "Okay," he said finally. She kissed his forehead. The gesture made him feel ancient. "I'm going to shower." Tom sat alone with his coffee, listening to the water run through the pipes. Through the window, the sun was starting to climb over the east field. His grandfather had cleared this land with mules and a crosscut saw. His father had worked it until the arthritis took his hands. Now, Tom sat in the kitchen of the house they'd built, wondering if his wife was telling him the truth. He picked up the tracker again, scrolled back through the history. October, November, December, January. The pattern was there if you knew to look. Late nights, always late nights. The coffee had gone cold in his cup. Route 9, diner smelled like fryer grease and possibilities. Tom took his usual stool at the counter, checked his watch. 6:47 a.m., 2 minutes late. Marge Holloway appeared with the pot. Didn't bother asking, just poured. She'd been pouring his coffee for 15 years, ever since his first wife Margaret got sick and he couldn't face eating alone at home. "Morning, Tom." "Marge, usual?" "Usual." She called it back to the kitchen. Eggs over easy, wheat toast, and wiped down the counter in front of him. Her hands never stopped moving. That's what 60 years did to you if you worked for a living. Taught you to keep your hands busy. "Saw Linda's car at the CrossFit gym Tuesday night," Marge said, casual as asking about the weather. "About 11. She's really dedicated to this fitness thing, huh?" Tom's coffee cup stopped halfway to his mouth. 11? Give or take. Marge's eyes met his for just a second. Something in her expression. Not judgment, not quite pity. Recognition, maybe. "I was closing up, drove past on my way home." "She goes late," Tom said. "No, helps her sleep." Marge nodded, refilled the cup he hadn't touched. "My ex-husband used to work late, too. Always had a good reason." The bell over the door chimed. Doc Henderson shuffled in, nodded at Tom. The morning carried on like it always did, but Marge's words sat with him, heavy as iron. When his eggs came, Tom ate without tasting them. Through the diner window, he could see the CrossFit gym across the street, big plate glass windows, empty parking lot. If Linda went at 11, where were all the other cars? Tom lay in bed that night, eyes open in the dark. The clock on Linda's nightstand read 1:42 a.m. She breathed steady beside him, the rhythm of deep sleep. Then her phone buzzed. Not a call, a text. The screen lit up her face for a moment, just long enough for Tom to see her eyes were already open. She reached for the phone, checked it. The glow reflected off her wedding ring. Tom kept his breathing even, unchanged. Pretended he was what she'd called him, dead to the world. Linda slipped out of bed. The mattress shifted. He heard her feet on the hardwood, padding soft toward the door. The bathroom light clicked on. Water ran for exactly 15 seconds. Then the front door, not the bedroom door, the front door, opened and closed. Tom stayed frozen. His heart hammered so hard he thought it might wake the whole house. But he didn't move. Didn't get up to look. Just listened to the silence she left behind. 15 minutes passed. Maybe 20. The front door opens again. Her footsteps returned. She slipped back into bed, and the smell hit him then. Cold January air. And underneath it, something else. Cologne. Not hers, not his. Tom kept his eyes closed. Kept his breathing steady. Linda's hand found his under the covers, squeezed once, like she was checking if he was really asleep. He didn't squeeze back. In the morning, he'd go see that gym, see it with his own eyes. But tonight, lying there in the dark, Tom Mackenzie understood something had broken. He just didn't know how bad yet. The question that kept him awake until dawn, how long has this been happening? Linda brought it up over Saturday breakfast. You should meet Derek, my trainer. He's amazing. Maybe he can help with your back. Tom looked up from his eggs. She was smiling. Buttering toast like this was the most natural thing in the world. Your trainer. From the gym. I've told you about him. She hadn't. He specializes in mature clients, knows all about joint pain mobility work. I told him about your back, and he said he'd be happy to do a consultation, free of charge. And the offer sat there between them. Tom could say no, could let the suspicion keep festering, or he could meet this man, see for himself. All right, he said. Linda's face lit up. Really? Oh, Tom, you'll love him. He's very respectful. Professional. That afternoon, they drove to the CrossFit gym together. The building sat in a strip mall between an insurance office and a dry cleaner. Through the plate glass windows, Tom could see weight racks, rowing machines, a few people scattered around working out. Derek met them at the door, 34, maybe 35, all gleaming teeth and a handshake that squeezed just a beat too long. Tom recognized the move, establishing dominance, showing strength. He'd seen it 1,000 times in younger men who needed everyone to know they were younger men. Mackenzie, honor to meet you. Derek wore a tight black shirt that showed every muscle, Nike gear that looked fresh out of the package. Linda speaks so highly of you. Does she? And when 43 years as a diesel mechanic? That's a dying breed, sir. Real craftsman. Derek gestured them inside. The gym smelled like rubber and sweat and protein powder. Most people these days, they don't know what real work is. Tom followed him past the equipment. His back ached just looking at some of it. Derek showed him stretches, explained mobility exercises in language that sounded professional enough. Tom nodded along, watching, observing. Derek's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. Client emergency. I'm sorry, I need to take this. We can wait, Linda said quickly. No. Derek smiled at her, warm, familiar. You stay, finish your workout. Mr. Mackenzie, it was a real pleasure. We'll get you moving better, I promise. Another handshake. Same pressure. Tom walked back to the truck alone while Linda stayed inside. Through the window, he watched her laugh at something Derek said, watched Derek's hand rest on her shoulder for just a moment. Professional, respectful. The words felt hollow. That night, Linda made pot roast, his favorite. The whole house smelled like Sunday dinner at his mother's table. Carrots and potatoes and beef that fell apart with a fork. I'm glad you met him, she said, setting the plate in front of Tom. Derek really knows his stuff. Tom cut into the roast. Seems like it. He's opening a second location. Asked if we wanted to invest. She sat across from him, her own plate untouched. It's a real opportunity, Tom. The fitness industry is booming. We don't have investment money. We could use some of the college fund, just temporarily. The returns would be huge. We'd triple it by summer. Tom's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Bethany's fund? It's an investment in her future, too. We'd have enough to cover her whole degree, not just this year. The pot roast sat heavy in his stomach now. Linda reached across the table, took his hand. Her fingers were soft, manicured. She'd started getting her nails done a few months back. I know it sounds risky, she said, but I trust Derek, and I trust us. Tom looked at his wife, at the woman he'd married 6 years ago, because he couldn't stand the silence of the house after Margaret died, at the careful way she was watching him now. Let me think about it, he said. Relief crossed her face. Of course. No pressure. After dinner, they watched television. Linda curled up beside him on the couch, her hand on his knee. It felt like the old days, like maybe he'd been paranoid about nothing. But when she fell asleep, Tom stayed awake, thinking about Derek's handshake, the way Linda's face had changed when he walked into the room, the cologne smell from 2 nights ago, and the watch. He'd noticed it during the consultation. Rolex Submariner, steel and gold. Tom knew watches, had fixed enough of them over the years, replacing batteries, adjusting bands. That particular model ran about $15,000. How does a gym trainer afford a $15,000 watch? The question followed him to bed, followed him into his dreams. And when he woke Sunday morning, Linda was already gone. The fitness tracker on her nightstand showed 2 hours of activity, 3:12 to 5:18 a.m. Tom picked up his phone, pulled up the college fund account. The password was still the same, Bethany's birthday. He needed to check the balance, just to be sure, just to know what he was dealing with. His finger hovered over the login button. Tom logged into the college fund account. The homepage loaded slow, dial-up internet speeds out here in the county. He sat at the old desktop computer in his office, coffee gone cold beside him. The balance appeared, $3,089. Tom stared at the number, refreshed the page, same number, September, he'd checked it last. The balance had been $47,3015, enough for Bethany's last year and a half of nursing school. Enough to keep his promise to his granddaughter that she'd be the first Mackenzie to graduate college without debt. His hands were shaking. He clicked on transaction history. October 3rd, withdrawal $15,000. Memo, LM Wellness LLC, fitness equipment investment. October 18th, withdrawal $12,000. Memo, LM Wellness LLC, fitness equipment investment. November 6th, withdrawal $8,000. Memo, LM Wellness LLC, fitness equipment investment. November 23rd, withdrawal $8,500. Memo, LM Wellness LLC, fitness equipment investment. LM, Linda Mackenzie. Tom's chest tightened. He scrolled down, looking for more. There were smaller withdrawals too, $2,000 here, $3,000 there, all marked with the same memo, all transferred to an account he'd never heard of. $44,000, gone. In 3 months. The printer in the corner was old, loud. Tom hit print on the transaction history and listened to it wheeze to life. The pages came out warm, smelling like toner and betrayal. He folded them carefully, put them in his shirt pocket. Linda's car crunched on the gravel driveway. Tom had maybe 30 seconds. He took 3 deep breaths, the same way he used to before working on a diesel engine when he was angry. Never touch machinery when your hands aren't steady. That's what his father taught him. He walked to the kitchen, put on a fresh pot of coffee, stood at the counter when Linda came through the door, her gym bag over her shoulder. "Hey," she smiled. "I didn't know you were up. Couldn't sleep. Want me to make breakfast?" "I want you to tell me about LM Wellness LLC." Her smile didn't falter. That was the first thing Tom noticed. She didn't flinch, didn't freeze. She set down her gym bag and sat at the kitchen table like she'd been expecting this conversation. "I was going to tell you," she said, calm as Sunday morning. Tom set the printed statements on the table between them. Linda picked them up, looked them over. "I know this looks bad. $44,000. It's an investment, Tom, in Derek's gym expansion." She reached for his hand. He pulled it back. "I was going to surprise you. The business projections show we'll triple that money by summer. We'll be able to pay for all of Bethany's school, not just—" "You didn't ask me, because you would have said no." Linda's voice stayed steady, reasonable. "You don't understand modern business, Tom. This is how investments work. You have to move fast when opportunities come up. That's Bethany's future, and I'm securing it." She stood, walked to a drawer, pulled out a folder, set it in front of him. "Look, business plans, revenue projections, Derek's LLC paperwork, it's all legitimate." Tom opened the folder. Professional-looking documents, graphs showing profit margins, a contract with Derek Turner's signature at the bottom. "Bethany's spring tuition is due February 1st, Tom said. "That's $6,800. How are we supposed to pay it?" "The first returns come in January. We'll have more than enough." Tom looked at his wife, really looked at her, at the way she had an answer for everything, at how she'd set out these documents like she'd been waiting for him to find out. "It's technically my money, too," Linda added quietly. "Joint account. I have every legal right." "Legal right?" Tom's voice came out flat. "You're talking about legal rights?" "Tom, get out." Linda blinked. "What?" "I need to think, alone." He picked up the folder, the bank statements. "Go to your yoga class, your workout, whatever it is you do, just go." She stood there for a moment, calculating, then picked up her gym bag. "Fine. We'll talk when you've calmed down." The door closed behind her. Tom sat alone in the kitchen, listening to her car start, drive away. He opened the folder again, looked at the business address for the new gym location, 447 Riverside Drive. He knew every street in this county. There was no 447 Riverside Drive. Tom walked to his office, opened the file cabinet where he kept important documents. VA papers, property deed, marriage certificate, and there, underneath the tax returns, something he didn't remember filing. A loan application from First County Bank. Property listed as collateral, 40 acres. The land his grandfather had cleared, loan amount $90,000, his signature at the bottom. Tom pulled out the document, carried it to the window, held it up to the light. He'd signed his name 10,000 times in his life. On work orders, on the deed when Margaret died and the house became his, on Bethany's birthday cards. He always looped the T in Tom twice. Always. A habit from 3rd grade that never broke. The signature looped it once. Someone had practiced his handwriting, gotten close, but not close enough. Tom's hands started shaking again, this time not from anger, from something colder, something that felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, in the dark, not knowing how far the fall would be. She wasn't just stealing from Bethany's fund, she was stealing the land itself. Monday morning, Tom drove to the county courthouse. The marble floors echoed under his boots. Sally Brennan worked the clerk's office, had worked it for 30 years. She looked up when he came to the counter. Tom McKenzie, haven't seen you in a while. Need to check on my property records. Sally's fingers moved across the keyboard, quick and efficient. Let me pull it up. What are you looking for specifically? Any loans? Recent filings? Her expression changed as she read the screen. Just a flicker, but Tom caught it. There's a loan here. First County Bank, approved November 15th, $90,000, dispersed to, she clicked again. Joint account, your name and Linda McKenzie. Can you print that? The printer hummed. Sally handed him the papers, then leaned closer, lowered her voice. Tom, that signature looks off to me. He showed her the comparison photo on his phone, his real signature next to the one on the loan documents. Sally winced. That's forgery. Can you reverse it? Not quickly. You'd need to file a police report, get a forensic analysis, then a court hearing to prove fraud. She touched his arm, grandmother gentle. That's months, Tom. Meanwhile, the loan is legally valid. Payments are being taken from your account. How much? $840 a month. Started in December. Tom did the math. His VA pension was $1,200 a month. After utilities, property tax, insurance, he'd have maybe $100 left to live on. I'm sorry, Sally said. The system's not built for this kind of thing. You need a lawyer, probably a divorce attorney. Tom folded the papers, put them in his coat pocket with the bank statements. Thanks, Sally. Tom, she waited until he looked at her. I've known you since you fixed the county fleet after that ice storm in '03. You're a good man. Don't let her take everything. Outside, the January wind cut through his jacket. Tom sat in his truck, engine running, heat blasting. The courthouse disappeared in his rearview mirror. He had a choice. Tell someone, call the sheriff, make this official, or gather more evidence first. Be sure of what he was dealing with. Tom put the truck in gear and drove toward Derek's gym. The CrossFit gym sat in the strip mall on Route 9, same as always. Tom parked across the street. Tuesday, 12:30 in the afternoon, middle of the lunch rush. The parking lot was empty. Tom waited 5 minutes. 10, no cars pulled in, no one walked out. Through the plate glass windows, he could see nothing, just the painted sign, no movement inside. He crossed the street, tried the door, locked, peered through the window, hands cupped against the glass. The interior was bare. Concrete floor, electrical outlets in the walls, no equipment, no weight racks, no rowing machines like he'd seen on Saturday. Tom stepped back, looked at the sign again. Derek's CrossFit, open 24/7, members only. Printed sign, not professional. Just regular paper laminated and taped to the window. The insurance office door next to it opened. A man in a suit came out, noticed Tom staring. You looking for the gym? Yeah, Tom said. Is it closed? That space has been empty for months. Someone put that sign up, but I've never seen it open. The man shrugged. Figured it was one of those scams. Pay membership fees online never actually exist. You ever see anyone here? A guy, mid-30s, athletic build? Nope, the space is just empty. Tom stood there after the man left, stared at the painted windows, the fake sign. He'd been inside this gym. Saturday afternoon, he'd seen the equipment, shaken Derek's hand, watched Linda work out, except he hadn't. He'd seen a different gym, somewhere else. And Derek had brought them there, let them believe it was his place. Every word had been a lie. Tom got back in his truck. His hands gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles went white. The hotel was 2 blocks away. Linda's car had to be somewhere. He drove there, parked in back, and there it was. Linda's Honda Accord, tucked in the far corner of the lot. 12:45 p.m. on a Tuesday, at a hotel. Tom sat in his truck, staring. Part of him wanted to walk inside, confront them, end this now. But another part, the mechanic part, the part that had learned to diagnose problems before tearing into an engine, told him to wait, document, understand the full scope before making a move. He took a photo of her car with the hotel sign visible in the background, added it to the folder on his phone he'd started labeling evidence. Then he drove home. Wednesday evening, Tom came home early, 2 o'clock instead of his usual 4. He'd told Linda he was going to the diner, would be gone until dinner. Her car was in the driveway. Tom parked down the road, walked back quiet, voices from the back porch. Linda's voice, then silence. She was on the phone. The screen door was cracked open an inch. Tom stood by the corner of the house, listening. Just need 3 more months, Linda said. Then the paperwork processes. Silence. Derek, calm down. I told you, he'll sign anything if I tell him it's for back surgery authorization. He's already signed half the documents without reading them. Tom pulled out his phone, started recording. The nursing home takes him January 15th. We're clear after that. Linda's voice was different now. Not the gentle tone she used with him. Colder, clinical. The property transfers 90 days after guardianship is granted. We discussed this. A pause. She laughed, sharp, without humor. He's at the diner, same time every day, predictable as sunrise. Yes, I'm sure. Derek, I've been documenting everything. The sleeping, the confusion, the memory lapses. The petition is airtight. Tom's hands shook. The phone almost slipped from his grip. The dementia paperwork was easy. His doctor barely looked at it, just signed. And the power of attorney goes through next week. Another pause. Then we cash out everything. The VA pension, the property equity, Bethany's fund, split it 50-50 like we agreed. Tom stopped the recording. His thumb hovered over it, making sure it's saved. Nursing home. January 15th, that was 5 weeks away. Guardianship, power of attorney, dementia paperwork. She wasn't just stealing from him, she was trying to erase him completely. Make him legally incompetent. Lock him away. The screen door started to open. Tom moved fast for a 68-year-old man, ducking around the corner of the house. He heard Linda's footsteps go back inside, heard the door close. He walked back to his truck, got in, sat there in the cold, breath fogging the windows. The phone felt heavy in his pocket. The recording was there, proof, evidence, but who could he tell? The sheriff played golf with Linda every Thursday. His son Marcus hadn't spoken to him in 12 years, and Marcus had warned him about Linda from the start. Bethany was at school, 3 hours away, innocent to all of this. Tom pulled up his contacts, scrolled to a number he hadn't called in over a decade. Marcus McKenzie, paralegal, elder law specialist, Cincinnati, Ohio. His finger hovered over the call button. Pride said, don't. Pride said you made this bed, you can fix it yourself. But the recording in his phone said something else. Said this was bigger than pride. Said January 15th was coming whether he was ready or not. Tom looked at his house. The house his grandfather built. The land 3 generations of Mackenzies had worked. And he made the call. Tom stared at Marcus's name in his phone. His thumb over the call button. He didn't press it. 12 years. 12 years since they'd spoken. Since the fight about Linda, about moving too fast, about replacing Margaret like she was a worn-out part. Marcus had said things Tom couldn't forgive. And Tom had said things worse. He locked the phone, put it in his pocket, drove to his workshop instead. Wednesday became Thursday became Friday. Tom stopped going to the diner, stopped shaving. He spent his days in the workshop with the space heater running, working on an old carburetor that didn't need fixing. Take it apart, clean each piece, lay them out on the workbench in order, reassemble, start over. His hands knew the work. Didn't need his brain for it, which was good because his brain had gone somewhere else. Somewhere dark and cold where a man could just stop. The barn cat showed up Thursday afternoon. Orange tabby, no collar. It rubbed against his leg until Tom opened a can of tuna, set it on the concrete floor. She was going to lock me away, he told the cat. Put me in a home like I'm already dead. And the cat didn't answer, just ate the tuna. Tom sat on his work stool, carburetor parts spread in front of him. His arthritic hands ached from the cold. 68 years old, too old to start over, too old to fight, maybe too old to matter. I should call someone, he said to the cat. Call Marcus, call the sheriff, call somebody. But what would he say? My wife is stealing from me and I was too stupid to notice. I married a woman who sees me as a paycheck and a property deed. The truth sat heavy. He'd chosen loneliness over wisdom, chosen companionship over caution, and now Bethany would pay for it. Friday, Marge called. Tom let it go to voicemail. She called again Saturday morning. He turned off the ringer. Linda came to the workshop Saturday afternoon, knocked on the door. Tom, you've been out here for 3 days. Come inside. I made lunch. He didn't answer. Tom, please. We need to talk about this. The door handle rattled. Tom had locked it from the inside. Fine, Linda said finally. When you're ready to be reasonable, I'll be here. Her footsteps crunched away on the frozen ground. Tom disassembled the carburetor again, this time slower, watching his hands shake, wondering if she was right, if he was declining, confused, too old to trust his own judgment. The workshop was cold, the space heater only did so much, but it was his space, his tools on the pegboard, organized by size, his workbench, stained with 40 years of oil and sweat, his grandfather's old toolbox in the corner. 3 generations of Mackenzies had worked with these tools, built things, fixed things, kept things running, and now Tom sat here, taking apart something that wasn't broken, because he didn't know what else to do. Saturday evening his phone rang, different ringtone, Bethany. Tom almost didn't answer, Didn't want her to hear his voice like this, hollow, defeated. But his hand moved on its own. Muscle memory. You always answer when your granddaughter calls. Her face appeared on the screen. Video call. She was smiling, sitting in her dorm room, textbooks spread around her. Grandpa, I've been trying to reach you. Tom tried to smile back, felt his face crack like old leather. Hey, sweetie, sorry. Been busy. You look tired. Just working in the shop. Bethany's smile dimmed a little. She knew him too well. Are you okay? Fine. What's going on with you? Well, that's why I'm calling. She pulled her laptop closer. I need to access the college fund account. Spring tuition is due February 1st, $6,800. But Mom called yesterday and said you changed the password for security reasons. Tom's chest tightened. She asked me to get the new password from you directly, Bethany continued. Said she couldn't pull the payment. Which is fine. I know you like to handle it yourself. I just wanted to check in before the deadline. Linda was stalling her, keeping her from seeing the empty account. Grandpa? Tom's mind raced. Tell her now. Break her heart over video chat. Or buy time. Fix this somehow. Bethany, I need to look into something. Can you give me 48 hours? Her expression shifted, concern replacing her smile. Is something wrong with the account? Just let me handle it. Don't talk to Linda about this yet, okay? Grandpa, you're scaring me. Tom looked at his granddaughter, 19 years old, nursing student, first McKinsey to go to college, 1 semester from graduation. She'd been working doubles at the campus bookstore, he'd heard, picking up extra shifts she didn't mention because she didn't want him to worry. She already knew something was wrong. She just didn't know how wrong. I promise you'll go to school, Tom said. The words came out steady, certain. I promise. Give me 2 days. Grandpa. Bethany, trust me, 2 days. She nodded slowly. Okay, but call me, please. I will. The video call ended. Tom sat in the silent workshop, phone in his hand. His paralysis broke. Not for himself. He could have lived with it. Could have let Linda take everything, put him away, ended it quiet. Could have just surrendered. But Bethany didn't deserve any of this. Didn't deserve to lose her education because her grandfather was too proud, or too broken, or too old to fight. Tom stood up. His joints protested, but he stood anyway. Walked to the corner where he kept his wallet, opened it. The business card was still there, tucked behind his VA card. Worn at the edges, but readable. Marcus McKinsey, paralegal, elder law specialist. Tom picked up his phone, dialed the number before he could talk himself out of it. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Marcus answered. Hello? The voice was familiar, but older, deeper. Tom's throat closed up. Marcus, it's your father. Silence on the other end, long enough that Tom almost hung up. Marge called me, Marcus said finally. 2 days ago. Told me I needed to come home. Tom's eyes burned. I don't know what to say. Are you safe? Right now, physically safe? Yes. Tell me what happened. So Tom did. Told him about Linda, about Derek, about the empty college fund, and the forged loan, and the recording of Linda talking about the nursing home, about January 15th, about Bethany's tuition due in 3 weeks. Marcus didn't interrupt. Didn't say I told you so, just listened. When Tom finished, Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, I'm on the road now, 6 hours out, started driving when Marge called. You don't have to. Yes, I do. I'm your son. Marcus's voice cracked on the word. I should have stayed 12 years ago. Should have fought with you instead of just being right from a distance. Tom sat down hard on the work stool. I should have listened. We'll fix that later. Right now, don't sign anything. Don't confront her. Don't let on that you know. I'm bringing a forensic accountant. She specializes in elder fraud. What if it's too late? Then we fight anyway. That's what you taught me, Dad. Remember? Tom didn't remember teaching that, but he nodded anyway. Okay. I'll be there by morning. Sunday morning. Stay safe until then. Marcus? Yeah? Thank you. The line went quiet. Then, I'll see you soon, Dad. The call ended. Tom sat alone in his workshop, surrounded by tools and cold air and the smell of machine oil. The carburetor lay in pieces on the bench. He didn't reassemble it. Instead, he stood up, walked to the filing cabinet, started pulling documents, bank statements, property deeds, marriage certificate, VA records, everything. By the time Linda came home at midnight, Tom had organized 3 folders of evidence, had them hidden in the workshop under a tarp. He went inside, climbed into bed. Linda was already asleep. Tom lay there in the dark, listening to her breathe. Tomorrow, Marcus would come. Tomorrow, they'd start fighting back. Tonight, Tom Mackenzie slept for the first time in 3 days. Not peaceful sleep, but the sleep of a man who'd stopped drowning, who'd reached up and found someone willing to pull him out. Sunday morning, Tom woke at 5:30, same as always. Linda's side of the bed was empty, gone to her early yoga class. He made coffee, stood at the kitchen window watching the sun climb over the frost-covered fields. Marcus would be here soon. 6 hours from Cincinnati, he'd been driving through the night. Tom's hands were steady for the first time in days. At 7:15, tires crunched on the gravel driveway. But not Marcus's car. Tom would recognize the sound of his son's truck. This was different. Lighter. Marge's old sedan. Tom opened the door before she knocked. She stood on the porch, holding 2 coffee cups from the diner and a manila folder tucked under her arm. "Thought you might need this," she said, handing him a cup. "Marge, can I come in?" Tom stepped aside. Marge walked to the kitchen table, set down the folder. Her hands were shaking slightly. "I wasn't going to say anything," she started. "Figured it wasn't my business, but I can't watch this anymore, Tom. I can't." She opened the folder. Inside were napkin notes, dozens of them, dates and times written in ballpoint pen. October 29th, 11:15 p.m. Linda and a man, Derek, I'm guessing, in the back booth at the diner, holding hands. Tom picked up the napkin, Marge's handwriting, neat and precise. November 5th, 11:05 p.m. Same couple, Linda's hand on his thigh, talking about power of attorney and 3 months. Another napkin. November 12th, 10:50 p.m. Derek said once the paperwork's filed, we're golden. Linda said he won't fight it. Tom's eyes burned. He kept reading. December 3rd, 11:20 p.m. Linda alone, on phone, said cognitive decline forms and nursing home intake. 6 weeks of documentation, times, dates, overheard conversations, evidence written on diner napkins and saved. "Why?" Tom's voice came out rough. Marge sat down across from him. "Because 15 years ago, you fixed my car twice. Refused payment both times. Said pay it forward when someone needs it." She touched his hand. "I'm paying it forward." Tom started crying. First tears since Margaret's funeral 6 years ago. He tried to stop, tried to pull himself together, but they kept coming. Marge didn't say anything. Just put her hand on his shoulder and let him break. She was going to put me away. Tom managed finally. "Lock me up like I'm nothing." "I know." Marge's voice was gentle but firm. "That's why I called Marcus." Tom looked up. "You called him?" "Tuesday night. Found his number in the phone book. Told him his father needed him, and if he had any decency, he'd come home." She squeezed his shoulder. "He said he'd be here by Sunday." "I called him yesterday. He said he was already driving, because I made him promise." Marge smiled, sad and knowing. "Tom, you've fixed half the cars in this county for 40 years. Nobody's letting her steal your life. Not on my watch." Tom wiped his eyes with the heel of his hand. Felt something shift in his chest. Not hope exactly, but something close. The knowledge that he wasn't alone. "I don't know what to say. Start with finishing your coffee. Then we wait for your son." Marcus arrived at 11:30. Tom heard the truck before he saw it. Diesel engine. Same rattle it had 12 years ago when Marcus drove away. Tom walked out to the porch. Marge stayed inside, giving them space. The truck door opened. A man stepped out. Taller than Tom remembered, gray at the temples now, same blue eyes as Margaret. They stood there, 20 feet of gravel between them. "Hey, Dad." "You came." "Of course I came." Tom walked forward. Marcus did too. They met in the middle of the driveway, shook hands, awkward, formal. Not a hug. Not yet. Too much water under that bridge. "You look tired," Marcus said. "Been a rough week." Then a second car pulled in behind Marcus's truck. A woman got out. Asian, mid-40s, professional pantsuit despite it being Sunday morning. "This is Diane Chen," Marcus said. "Forensic accountant, specializes in elder fraud." Diane walked up, shook Tom's hand. "Mr. Mackenzie, I'm sorry we're meeting under these circumstances." "Thank you for coming." "Let's see what we're dealing with." They went inside. Marge had fresh coffee waiting. Tom spread out his documents on the kitchen table. Bank statements, loan papers, photos of the forged signature. Marcus pulled out a laptop. Diane sat down, started reviewing everything with the efficiency of someone who'd seen this before. "This is textbook elder financial abuse," Diane said after 20 minutes. "Clear pattern. Systematic theft, identity fraud, fraudulent loans." Marcus looked at the forged signature, compared it to Tom's real one. "This is criminal fraud, Dad. Not just civil, we're talking felony charges." Tom realized something then. His son was good at this. Really good. Professional, competent. The boy who'd left at 30, angry and righteous, had become a man who helped people. "How much total?" Tom asked. Diane's fingers moved across her calculator. 4370, 11 from the education account. She clicked something else on her laptop, frowned. Plus the $90,000 loan against the property. The money went to a joint account. Linda McKinsey and Derek Turner. Joint account. They're partners. This is organized fraud, not impulsive theft. Marcus's jaw tightened. What else? Diane pulled up the county clerk's database on her laptop, typed in Tom's name. Her face went still. There's more. She turned the screen. Your wife filed preliminary guardianship papers 3 weeks ago. Tom leaned forward. Read the words on the screen. Petition for emergency guardianship grounds, cognitive decline, unsafe living conditions, financial confusion, inability to manage basic affairs, evidence, subject sleeps excessively, unaware of surroundings during night hours, subject unable to manage finances, requires assistance with basic banking, subject shows confusion about recent events, proposed guardian, Linda McKinsey, proposed facility, Meadowbrook Senior Living, Richmond, Indiana intake date, January 15, 2025. Tom's vision narrowed. The words blurred. If this goes through, Diane said quietly, you lose all legal rights. She becomes your guardian, controls your assets, your property, your medical decisions. You become legally incompetent. But I'm not, Tom started. I know. Marcus's hand landed on his shoulder. We know, Dad. She fabricated it. The sleeping excessively is from your sleep medication. The financial confusion is because she's been hiding statements. The unawareness at night is because she's been leaving the house and you didn't wake up. Tom stood abruptly, walked to the window, stared out at his land. 40 acres his grandfather had cleared with mules. His father had worked until arthritis took his hands. Tom had maintained for 40 years. Linda was going to take it all, not just steal it, legally erase him and take it. Marcus appeared beside him. Dad? She was going to lock me away. Tom's voice came out flat. Take everything. Tell Bethany I was incompetent. But she didn't, and she won't. Tom looked at his son. How do you know? Because I'm not leaving until this is done. And Marcus met his eyes. I should have stayed 12 years ago. Should have fought with you instead of just leaving. I was right about Linda, but I was wrong about everything else. Tom's throat tightened. I should have listened. Yeah, but I should have stayed anyway. You're my father. That's all that matters. And they stood there, father and son, looking at each other for the first time in 12 years without anger between them. What do we do? Tom asked. Marcus turned back to the table. We build a case, document everything, then we confront her. When? Diane checked her laptop. According to the documentation in Marge's notes, Linda and Derek meet at the diner every Tuesday and Friday at 11 p.m. Tom remembered. The back booth. The late nights. Tuesday, Marcus said. We wait for them there. Present the evidence. Force a settlement. Sheriff as witness. Sheriff Daniels? Tom shook his head. He plays golf with Linda every Thursday. Then we call him now. Show him what we have. Let him decide if he wants to protect a friend or do his job. Tom thought about Ray Daniels. They'd gone to school together. Ray remembered when Tom fixed the county fleet for free after the ice storm in '03. All right, Tom said. Call him. Marcus pulled out his phone, made the call. 20 minutes later, Sheriff Daniels pulled into the driveway. Sheriff Ray Daniels sat at Tom's kitchen table, reading through the documents. He'd taken off his hat, set it on the chair beside him. His face was stone. Jesus Christ, Tom. You believe me? Ray looked up. I've known you since we were 8 years old. I remember when you fixed the county fleet after that ice storm. Wouldn't take a dime. You're the last person I'd expect to lie about something like this. He tapped the forged loan application. This signature isn't yours. No. And Linda's really planning to put you in Meadowbrook? Diane turned her laptop around, showed him the guardianship petition. Ray read it slowly, his jaw tightening. This is criminal fraud. Elder abuse, identity theft. He looked at Marcus. You're his attorney? Paralegal, elder law specialist. Good, because this is complicated. Ray closed the laptop. I can arrest her now, bring her in, charge her with fraud. But, Tom said, court case takes months, maybe years. She could fight it, drag it out. Meanwhile, you're paying lawyers, dealing with stress. Ray leaned back in his chair. What are you thinking instead? Marcus spoke up. We want to confront her. Tuesday night at the diner. She and Derek meet there every Tuesday at 11 p.m. We have documentation. We present the evidence, offer settlement. She signs over any claim to the property, returns what she can of the stolen money, leaves town voluntarily, or you arrest her. Ray considered this. You want me there as witness? Official capacity, make it legal, and then you think she'll take the deal? When she sees the evidence? When she realizes the whole town knows. Marcus nodded. Yeah, she'll take it. Ray stood up, put his hat back on. Tuesday night. I'll be there. But Tom, he looked at his old friend. If she doesn't sign, I arrest her. No hesitation. What she's done here, it's beyond friendship. I know, Tom said. After Ray left, the four of them sat in the kitchen. Marge poured more coffee. Diane was typing notes on her laptop. Marcus spread out a legal pad, started making lists. We have 36 hours, Marcus said. Where's Linda now? Tom checked his phone. Text from Linda. Staying at friends tonight. See you Monday. She's with him. Good. Let her think everything's normal. Marcus wrote something down. Diane, can you get a full accounting by Tuesday? Everything she's taken? I'll have it by tomorrow night. Marge, can you confirm their pattern? Tuesday nights at the diner? Every Tuesday for 6 weeks. Like clockwork. Marcus turned to Tom. Dad, you need to act normal. Go to the diner tomorrow morning like always. Don't let on that anything's changed. Tom nodded. His hands were steadier than they'd been in days. Having a plan, having people around him, it made the weight bearable. Marcus looked at his notes. The guardianship hearing is scheduled for January 3rd. That's next Friday. We need to file a dismissal motion, get it thrown out before then. I'll handle that tomorrow, Diane said. Medical records showing no cognitive decline, VA psych eval from last month. Character witnesses, who would testify? Tom asked. Marge raised her hand. Me. And half the diner regulars if you need them. Tom felt something break in his chest. Not painful this time, more like ice cracking in spring. Marcus reached across the table, touched his arm. We've got this, Dad. They worked for another 2 hours. Building timelines, organizing evidence, making lists of witnesses. Tom watched his son move through it all with quiet efficiency. Professional, competent. This was what Marcus had become in 12 years. I'm proud of you, Tom said suddenly. Everyone stopped, looked at him. Marcus blinked. What? You're good at this. Really good. Tom gestured at the papers spread across the table. I'm proud of the man you became. Marcus's eyes went bright. He looked down at his legal pad. Thanks, Dad. Marge stood up. I should get going. Opening shift tomorrow. She squeezed Tom's shoulder. You need anything? You call me. Diane packed up her laptop. I'll work from my hotel, have full accounting by tomorrow evening. After they left, it was just Tom and Marcus in the kitchen. The house felt different with someone else in it. Less empty. Less like a trap. You can take the guest room, Tom said. Bed's made up. Actually, Marcus pulled a bag from his truck. I was hoping we could talk first. They sat at the table. The coffee had gone cold, but neither of them moved to make more. I was wrong, Marcus started. 12 years ago. Not about Linda. I was right about her, but I was wrong to leave. Wrong to let you face this alone. You tried to warn me. Warning isn't the same as staying. Marcus's voice cracked. You're my father. When you needed me, I should have been here. Tom thought about the years of silence, the phone calls he'd almost made, the birthday cards he'd started writing and never sent. I was stubborn, Tom said, too proud to admit I'd made a mistake. We're both stubborn. They sat there in the quiet. Outside, the January night pressed against the windows. Inside, something was mending, slow, careful, but mending. Tomorrow, Marcus said finally, we go through everything again. Make sure we haven't missed anything. Tuesday night, we end this. What if it's too late? What if she's already moved money somewhere we can't trace? Then we fight. Anyway, Marcus looked at him. That's what you taught me, remember? When something's broken, you don't give up. You figure out what parts can be saved and you save them. Tom didn't remember teaching that, but maybe he had. Maybe his whole life had been teaching it. 43 years of fixing engines, solving problems, refusing to quit when parts didn't fit right the first time. Get some sleep, Dad. Big day tomorrow. Marcus went to the guest room. Tom sat alone in the kitchen for a while longer, looking at the evidence spread across the table. Bank statements, napkin notes, legal documents, proof that he'd been a fool, but also proof that people cared enough to help him stop being one. He cleaned up the papers, locked them in his office, went to bed. Linda's side was empty, cold. Tomorrow she'd come back, act like nothing was wrong, and Tom would have to pretend along with her. One more day. Just one more day of acting normal while everything burned underneath. Tuesday couldn't come fast enough. Tuesday night, 10:30 p.m. Route 9 diner was half full. Unusual for this late. Word had spread somehow. Small towns were like that. Tom sat in the front booth with Marcus and Diane. The evidence folder lay closed on the table. Sheriff Daniels sat at the counter in plain clothes, nursing coffee, positioning himself. Marge worked the floor, refilling cups that didn't need refilling. Her hands were steady, but Tom saw the tension in her shoulders. The regulars knew something was happening. Doc Henderson at his usual spot, Ray from the post office 2 booths down. Even Reverend Halstead had drifted in, sat near the back with a slice of pie he wasn't eating. Nobody said it out loud, but they'd all chosen to be here. Tom's coffee sat untouched in front of him. His stomach was too tight for caffeine. "You sure about this?" Marcus asked quietly. "No." And Tom looked at his son. "But I'm doing it anyway." 10:45 p.m. More people drifted in. The bell over the door kept chiming. Alice from the library, the couple who ran the hardware store. People Tom had known for 40 years, taking seats, ordering coffee they didn't want, bearing witness. Marge stopped at their booth. "You okay?" "Ask me in an hour." She squeezed his shoulder, moved on. 10:55 p.m. Tom watched the door. His hands were shaking. He pressed them flat on the table. Marcus leaned close. "You don't have to be the one to say it. I can handle this." "No." Tom's voice came out stronger than he felt. "This is mine to do." Diane opened the folder one more time, made sure everything was in order. Bank statements on top, napkin notes, forged loan documents, guardianship petition. The recording of Linda's phone call. Everything documented, everything proved. Sheriff Daniels caught Tom's eye from the counter, gave a small nod. The clock on the wall read 11:02 p.m. The door opened. Linda walked in first, Derek behind her. They were laughing about something, relaxed. Linda wore yoga pants and an expensive jacket Tom didn't recognize. Derek had his gym clothes on, that same Rolex catching the diner lights. Linda saw Tom. Her smile froze. She looked around the diner, saw Marcus, saw Diane, saw the sheriff at the counter, saw every booth filled with people watching her. The laughter died in the room. Every conversation stopped. Derek noticed her reaction, looked around. His eyes went wide. Tom stood up slowly. His chair scraped against the linoleum. "Linda, Derek, please sit down." Linda's face went through several expressions: confusion, calculation, the beginning of fear. "Tom, what's going on?" "It's time we had a conversation." She walked toward the booth, Derek following. Tom could see him wanting to bolt already, could see the panic in his eyes. They sat across from Tom and Marcus. Linda's hands were shaking now. She clasped them together, trying to hide it. Tom slid the folder across the table. "Open it." Tom, open it." Linda opened the folder. The bank statements were on top. 437011, withdrawn from Bethany's college fund. All the transfers to LM Wellness, LLC. Her face went pale. "Keep going," Tom said. She turned the page. The forged loan application. The signature that wasn't quite his. Another page. The guardianship petition. Meadowbrook Senior Living Intake Forms dated January 15th. "This is," Linda started. "This is a misunderstanding. I can explain." Diane spoke up, her voice professional and cold. "There is no investment, Mrs. McKenzie. Derek's gym doesn't exist. We have documentation of you and Mr. Turner meeting at a hotel. We have recordings of you discussing nursing home placement and guardianship fraud. We have 6 weeks of witness testimony from Marge Holloway documenting your meetings." Derek stood up suddenly. "I don't know what she's talking about." Marcus pulled out another paper. "You and Linda have a joint bank account. The stolen money went there. You're partners in this fraud." Never. Derek looked at Linda, then at the door. "This is crazy. I'm leaving." Sheriff Daniels stood up from the counter. "Sit down, Mr. Turner." Derek froze, looked at the sheriff's badge now visible on his belt. "I said sit down." Derek sat, but Tom could see his muscles coiled, ready to run. Linda tried tears. Her eyes went wet, her voice breaking. "Tom, I was trying to help you. You've been declining, forgetting things, sleeping all the time. I was trying to protect you." "Protect me?" Tom's voice stayed quiet, but it carried through the whole diner. "You were going to lock me away." "No. You forged my signature, stole my granddaughter's future, filed papers to have me declared incompetent." Tom leaned forward. "You called me dead. Maybe my body's slower than it used to be, but I counted every dollar you stole, remembered every lie you told, documented every piece of it." He slid the last paper across. The recording transcript. Linda's words typed out clear. "The nursing home takes him January 15th. The property transfers 90 days after guardianship." Linda stared at it. The tears dried up. Her face went cold, the real face underneath all the performances. "What do you want?" she asked flatly. Marcus slid a settlement agreement across the table. "Sign this, release all claims to the property, repay $30,000 from your personal accounts. That's all we can trace right now. Leave town within 72 hours. Or Sheriff Daniels arrests you for fraud, forgery, and attempted guardianship fraud." Derek bolted, literally stood up and ran for the door. The bell chimed as he shoved through it. His footsteps pounded across the parking lot. An engine started, tires squealed. Everyone in the diner watched him go. Linda sat frozen, alone now. Her partner had abandoned her without a backward glance. She looked around at all the faces watching her. People she'd smiled at in church, chatted with at the grocery store, people who'd believed she cared about Tom. "What happens to me?" she asked quietly. Tom picked up his coffee cup. It was cold now, but he took a sip anyway. "That's no longer my concern." Linda stared at the settlement papers, at the pen Marcus had set beside them. "If I don't sign?" Sheriff Daniels spoke from the counter. "Then I arrest you right now. Process you tonight. Judge sees you tomorrow morning. With this evidence?" He gestured at the folder. "You're looking at 5 to 10 years. Linda's hand shook as she reached for the pen. She tried one more time, looked at Tom with those eyes that had convinced him to marry her 6 years ago. "I'm sorry, I was desperate. Derek promised the investment was real. I don't care." Tom set down his cup. "Sign or don't, but I'm done listening to you." The diner was silent. 30 people watching, waiting. Linda signed. 3 copies. Diane witnessed. Sheriff Daniels witnessed. Marcus witnessed. It was done. Linda stood up, tried to touch Tom's hand one last time. "Tom, please." He pulled back. "You have 72 hours. If you're still here Thursday morning, the warrant activates." She looked around the diner one more time. Every face turned away from her. Not anger, just dismissal, like she'd already stopped existing. Linda walked out. The bell chimed behind her. Her car started. Drove away. The silence held for 3 heartbeats. Then old Doc Henderson at the counter. "About damn time, Tom." The postal worker. "You okay?" Reverend Halstead stood up, walked over, put his hand on Tom's shoulder. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. Marge appeared with fresh coffee, filled Tom's cup. "On the house." Tom looked around at all these people. His neighbors, his community. People who'd showed up on a Tuesday night at 11 p.m. to stand with him. Marcus put his hand on Tom's arm. "How do you feel?" "Tired." Tom took a sip of the fresh coffee. Old, relieved. You were incredible in there." "I just told the truth." "That's what made it incredible." They sat for a while longer. The diner slowly emptied. People stopping by the booth to touch Tom's shoulder, nod, say a quiet word of support. By midnight, it was just Tom, Marcus, Diane, Marge, and the sheriff. "Derek won't get far," Ray said. "I've already called state police. They'll pick him up by morning." "And Linda?" "She'll be gone by Thursday. Women like that, they know when they've lost." Ray put on his hat. "Get some rest, Tom. It's over." After everyone left, Tom and Marcus walked to their trucks. The January night was cold and clear. Stars visible without the light pollution. "Stay at the house tonight?" Tom asked. "Guest room's still made up." "Yeah." Marcus smiled. "I'd like that." They drove home in separate trucks. But together, Tom thought about Linda's face when she'd realized the whole town knew. Thought about Derek running. Thought about the settlement papers signed and witnessed. It was over. She was gone. The land was secure. But what happened now? Thursday morning, Tom woke up to an empty house. Linda had moved out Wednesday while he was at the workshop. She'd taken her clothes, her yoga mat, the coffee maker he'd never liked, left the key on the kitchen counter. Sheriff Daniels called around noon. Derek lost his gym lease. His landlord found out about the investigation, kicked him out. "Turns out you weren't his first victim. We found 2 other women in neighboring counties, both elderly, both with property he was trying to access." "What'll happen to him?" "Running from law enforcement. Fraud charges stacking up. He's looking at serious time." Ray paused. "Linda left town this morning. Her sister's place in Ohio. She's gone, Tom." Tom hung up, stood in the kitchen. The house felt bigger without her in it, emptier, but cleaner somehow. Like taking out garbage you didn't realize was rotting. Marcus came in from the guest room, hair still wet from the shower. "Coffee?" "I'll make some." They sat at the kitchen table. Same place they'd built the case. Diane had emailed the final report, $38,000 recovered so far through asset seizure. The loan reversal was in process. Bethany's college fund would have enough for spring tuition and next fall. Not everything, but enough. "I can stay another week," Marcus said. "Help you get organized. Change accounts, update passwords, new locks." Tom looked at his son, realized he didn't want him to leave. "Don't you have work?" "I took family leave. This is where I need to be." Family leave. The words sat warm in Tom's chest. "I'd appreciate that," Tom said. Friday, Bethany called. Tom told her everything. About Linda, about the theft, about Marcus coming home. She cried on the video chat, then got angry, then cried again. "Grandpa, I'm so sorry." "Nothing for you to be sorry about, sweetie. I should have noticed something was wrong. You were busy with school, living your life. That's what you're supposed to do." Tom smiled at her through the screen. Spring tuition is covered. You're going to graduate. Come visit me this weekend. Please, I need to see you're okay. Marcus leaned into frame. I'll drive him up. Saturday morning. Bethany's face brightened, seeing her uncle. Marcus, oh my God, is that really you? They drove to campus Saturday. 3 hours in Marcus's truck, talking. Easy conversation. Father and son finding their rhythm again after 12 years of silence. Bethany met them at her dorm, threw her arms around Tom so hard it hurt his back. He didn't care. I'm okay, he told her. I'm okay. She showed them her pottery class project. Bowls and mugs, clay-stained aprons, the wheel she was learning to use. Tell me about the barn idea again, she said. The studio you mentioned. And Tom explained. Convert part of the old barn, set up her wheel, a kiln, a place for her to work when she visited, when she graduated and moved back, if she wanted to. Bethany's eyes lit up. Really? Really? On the drive home, Marcus said, I can help with the barn. Come up every other weekend. We could have it done by spring. Tom looked at his son. You'd do that? Yeah, Dad, I would. March thaw came early that year. The frost broke, the fields turned to mud, and green shoots started pushing through in the south pasture. Tom and Marcus worked on the barn every Saturday, tearing out old boards, replacing the roof, running electricity for the kiln, working side by side, not talking much. Just the rhythm of hammers and saws and two men who knew how to use their hands. Marcus called twice a week now, Tuesday nights and Thursday afternoons, just to check in, just to talk. Marge brought coffee Saturday mornings. Sat on the porch while Tom and Marcus took breaks. Sometimes she'd stay for lunch, sometimes just an hour. But she was there, regular as sunrise. Bethany came home for spring break in mid-March, walked through the barn studio, touched the new walls, the space they'd cleared for her wheel. Grandpa, this is perfect. Tom showed her the window they'd installed, south-facing, good light. Your great-grandmother used to paint. She'd have loved seeing you make things here. Tell me about her. And so Tom did. Stories about Margaret he hadn't told in years, about how she'd wanted to be an artist, but life got in the way, about her watercolors hanging in the attic, about how she'd have been proud to see Bethany creating something beautiful. They started having Sunday dinners when Bethany visited, Tom cooking pot roast or chicken, Marcus making sides, Bethany setting the table. A routine, a family rebuilt from pieces that had been broken. One Saturday afternoon, late March, Tom and Marcus took a break from barn work, sat on the truck tailgate, drinking water. The sun was warm, birds singing, the smell of mud and warming earth. Marcus said quietly, I should have stayed 12 years ago. And Tom took a long drink of water. You're here now. I was so angry, so sure I was right. You were right. About Linda. Being right doesn't matter if you abandon the people who need you. Marcus looked at his father. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry, too, for not listening, for being too stubborn to call. They sat in comfortable silence, the kind that only comes after you've worked through the hard stuff. After you've said the things that needed saying, Bethany called from the barn. Grandpa, Uncle Marcus, come see what I made. Tom slid off the tailgate. His joints creaked. 68 years of diesel work would do that, but he was strong enough to stand, strong enough to keep going. Marcus hopped down beside him. Need help? I got it. They walked to the barn together. Bethany stood by her pottery wheel holding up a bowl. Imperfect. Lopsided. Beautiful. First one I didn't mess up completely, she said, grinning. Tom took it, turned it over in his hands, clay still slightly damp, the weight of it real and solid. It's perfect, he said. That night, after Bethany drove back to campus and Marcus left for Cincinnati, Tom sat on his porch, coffee in hand. The spring evening warm enough that he didn't need a jacket. The house was empty. But he wasn't lonely. Marge would bring coffee tomorrow morning. Marcus would call Tuesday. Bethany would visit next Sunday. The barn studio was almost finished. The land was secure. The college fund was recovering. Linda was gone. Derek was in custody. The guardianship petition had been dismissed. Tom Mackenzie was 68 years old, alone in a farmhouse his grandfather built. And for the first time in 6 years, that was exactly what he wanted to be. He sipped his coffee, watched the sunset over the south field, thought about spring planting, about Bethany's graduation in May, about the pottery studio in the barn, and 3 generations of Mackenzies who'd refused to let go of this land. Some battles you win just by refusing to lie down. This land was still his to give. That was victory enough. 6 months later, Tom sits on his porch in the early morning, coffee steaming in his hand. The September air carries that first hint of autumn, cool enough to remind you winter's coming, warm enough to let you enjoy what's left of the growing season. The barn studio is finished now. Bethany graduated in May, started working at County General as a nurse. She comes out every Sunday, throws pottery in the barn, stays for dinner. Her bowls line Tom's kitchen shelves now, imperfect and beautiful. Marcus calls twice a week, visits every other weekend. They don't talk about the 12 years of silence much anymore. Just work on projects together, fix things, build things, make up for lost time, without saying that's what they're doing. Marge still brings coffee, Saturday mornings. Still sits on this porch, talking about nothing important, everything important. Tom thinks about Linda sometimes, about how loneliness made him foolish, how the need for companionship nearly cost him everything that mattered. She's still in Ohio, far as he knows. Derek's doing 5 years in state prison. Tom doesn't feel satisfaction about that. Doesn't feel much of anything except grateful it's over. He learned something these past months. Something worth saying plain. Silence doesn't mean surrender. Sometimes the quietest men are the ones still standing when the dust settles. Age isn't weakness, it's patience earned through years of fixing things that break, of knowing which parts can be saved and which ones need replacing. And family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's a waitress who keeps napkin notes, a son who drives through the night, a granddaughter who inherits your land and makes something beautiful on it. Tom sips his coffee, watches the sun climbing over the east field. His grandfather cleared this land. His father worked it. Now it'll go to Bethany, and someday her children. 3 generations of McKinseys refusing to quit. The phone rings. Marcus's name on the screen. Tom answers. Morning. Hey, Dad. Still coming up this weekend? Bethany wants to fire her first kiln load. Wouldn't miss it? After they hang up, Tom sits a while longer. The coffee's gone cold, but the morning's still warm. Still full of possibility. He's 69 now, alone in this house, but surrounded by people who chose to stand with him when it mattered. That's the thing about getting old. You learn the difference between being alone and being lonely, between surviving and actually living, between people who stay and people who run. Some victories are quiet, but they're still complete. Tom stands up, joints creaking, but strong enough. He's got work to do, a barn to sweep out, coffee to make for when Marge arrives, a life to keep living. Spring always comes, even after the hardest winters. And he's not dead yet, not even close.